his role vis-a-vis the committees, and the committee's role towards the manager and the staff, and what the staff should do for the committees. All this is critically important stuff in terms of how you manage a decent-sized organization. Our organization is not large. We only have about 30 full-time people at any one time. This doesn't count our contractors, but just the CCMC employees. And by and large, this has worked pretty well. Thank you.
Bob?
We need to, these definitions of who does what to whom and when and how, I think, are very important, and that's what the rules of the governance is. What am I supposed to do? What is Jay supposed to do? What as a citizen, what if I'm on a committee, what I have to do there? If I am working with CCMC, how that relationship is going to work with me. I think those definitions had to be put out. I think the path had to be put out. And I think that we still have some more work to do walking down the path to make sure everyone's on board with it. Is it bad or good? I don't know. Time will tell. And then I think the adjustments can be made. But I think it's a good standard to start.
Steve?
Didn't read it. Can't comment about it.
Are there any other questions?
Sometimes a challenge arises during a crisis. It brings people out saying, it is a crisis. I am willing to participate. When the community center renovation, it was obvious it was falling apart, and it was a crisis. 400 to 500 people every month showed up. They got involved. So I think as far as the golf course goes, we have no way of knowing what Dr. Lee has in mind. He can cook his books. He's going to do what serves himself. So I think we should divulge exactly the best knowledge we have as to where things stand. Lay out what certain areas are needed for information. Invite everyone from the community.
Mike, your time is almost up, so we need a question.
Can you back up 30 seconds for you're interrupting me? So then you're saying these possible areas could be used. Please come forward to a meeting. There was a guy, Larry LaGrange, years ago. He knew everything about researching public records when the golf course was.
Mike, your time is up.
Thanks a lot. Invite everyone in a big meeting.
Could each one of you please tell me what you liked what the board did this year and what you would change if you were elected to the board?
You don't think I asked a question?
No.
You didn't?
No, we didn't. And everybody knows they have 1 minute. This question, we'll start with Harvey.
Did I understand your question right? What we liked what the board did, or we didn't like what the board did?
I would like to know what you liked what they did and what you would change what they did.
Okay,
They did a lot of things.
I think I've been consistent through this meeting, saying that when the board holds a meeting and homeowners get up to question, to ask, to appeal, that they should be answered. Anything as simple as, we'll look into it, we'll get back to you. Like I mentioned earlier, a gentleman wrote to the manager, talk about division of jobs, okay? 13 days later, where fire is concerned, they got back to him, okay? That just doesn't work. And I would not be that kind of a board manager that would let something like that slip by. Comes to the finances of the community. I mentioned earlier that 3 gentlemen, one a CPA, one a businessman who ran a multi-million-dollar business and for his association bought for billions of dollars, and another man in the last 6 months left because they weren't given the proper information. They were still fighting over, or I should say still questioning over, the difference between the reserves and depreciation. And if it wasn't for one of them not that those gentlemen, but for someone on the finance committee asking for the paperwork, which was 6 pages. It was then presented to them, and they had to read it, digest it, understand it for that meeting. You don't run a business that way. I'm sorry. And that's a board's fault because there is a board liaison. It should have been stopped right there and tabled till the next meeting.
Time is up.
Okay, that's my answer.
Jay?
The board has basically done its job. Our first obligation is to, as it says in our summary of what our objective is to make this the best age-qualified community in Southern Nevada. I think we are that. And the reason we are is because the board, all the boards, have done everything they've had to do to maintain this place. We maintain the pools and the fitness center, basically, and we maintain the landscaping. Now, we've taken a lot of flack because of all the money we've spent on landscaping the last 2 years. But it had to be done. Same thing with the sidewalks. That had to be done. Same thing with the tennis court fence. That had to be done. And it was done. Now, and then all sorts of other stuff that constantly comes up that the public is totally unaware of. But what the biggest problem with the board is that it is institutionally so slow to act. We meet once a month. We have an executive session that is dealing with confidential issues with the community, people who don't pay their dues, who have problems or whatever, of dishonorable activity or whatever. Not very much of that, really. And then we have a workshop once a month. But if things come up in between, we cannot act quickly on it. Because if it's something that requires a formal motion, it has to get on the board's agenda at least 10 days before the meeting. And if it's something, and many of the things we deal with have to go to committees first. I mean, if we want to do something like buy swing arm gates, well, first it goes to the safety committee, they have to vote on it. Then another month later, it goes to the finance committee, they have to vote on it. And then 3 months later, it
Time is
comes to
up.
the board. This is crazy. Thank you.
Bob?
So Les, you want to know what I like about what they've done and what I dislike about what's going on. I love Sienna Monte and Fiorabella. I hate what it costs. I like the new CCMC and Securitas contracts. Now we got to see how well they're going to work together for that. But I think the one thing that if you were to ask, as you have asked me, is that the communication process for all this. Part of it could be what Jay alludes to, that it takes this month to get this done, and next month, and next month. And I think that's part of it. By the time it gets from here to the board, we've forgotten what it was started with. So, and I will say that I like what Arn specifically has done, Lieberman, with getting that communication process more fine-tuned and focused. I like a lot of things that have been done to keep the wow in Siena. I think we need to let people know, yours truly included, more about how that system works. And I think that's a work in progress that is well due.
Steve?
Well, what I liked was the formation of the ad hoc committees. I definitely approve of involving more residents to get their expertise. And I absolutely adore the formation of the clubs. Obviously, I got the New Yorker Club, thank you, Warren, and the other clubs, and I know you're pushing for clubs. And I like the community involvement. That's my thing. And I see more community involvement with a lot of activities. And I like everything basically that you've done. The money I'm not sure about. I have to really look into that. I'm not a finance person, I'm not an accountant. I would need to tweak what's being spent on that. But basically, I approve of the board and what you've done, because you have a lot of similar thoughts to, my thoughts. And if I like what you're doing, then I like what I'm doing, and that's about it.
Jerry?
Well, first off, I think you have to give all the board members credit. It's not an easy job, because no matter what they do, they're gonna piss somebody off, I once talked with a fellow who was a Las Vegas city councilman. He says, if as a city councilman you do exactly what you should do and what is right for the community, you might get elected one time, but you will never get elected after that. He says, because every decision you make, you piss off half the people in the community. And it's kind of the same way with the board. So they're kind of, no matter what they do, they get smacked across the head sometimes. So I think we should first of all give the board members, some credit for putting up with it and without turning, without the hair turning gray or going bald. Now, if I had to pick one item that I think that they did well on this last year, I think it was how they handled the fitness center renovation. I think by putting together an ad hoc committee, I think that was a great idea. If I had to pick one thing that I didn't like, and I actually voted against it in the finance committee, is spending the money on landscaping outside the Sienna fence there, the $176,000. I wouldn't have done it now because they're tearing the street up out there, and I don't know how they're going to do it, because they're going to have to block off one lane of the street as part of the renovation. So I would not have voted to do that now. I would have put that off to the next year.
Are there any other questions? If there are no more questions, we will now have closing remarks. And we will start with Bob and go from Bob to Steve. The candidates will have 2 minutes. Bob?
Well, thank you for your time today. I appreciate your heartfelt and thoughtful questions that you presented to us. Hopefully you've gained some insights, and that'll be good in helping you in your decision-making process. I hope you picked up one of my brochures on your way in, and if not, on the way out. You'll see that my email address is there. It says bobz911sienna@gmail.com. Bob Z represents my core beliefs. For nearly 40 years, friends and acquaintances, business associates have known me as Bob Z. You may associate 911 as a call for help. This combination of letters and numbers conveys that I'm easily approachable and willing to help. This is why I am Bob Z 911 for Sienna. I want the Sienna community to remain the one that Penny and I moved to 14 years ago. It needs to stay young, strong, and vibrant. As our community ages, along with its residents, we have to upgrade and modernize to compete with the newer additions to the 50-plus housing market. Recognizing and recruiting talents of our residents will commit more people to Sienna's success. I agree, Mike. We should continue to build our reference list of volunteers so that as a community, we can 911. We have a fantastic thing going for us. Let's be more inclusive in our decision process. Let's remember that there's a silent majority out there, but this is an expense that we cannot afford. Please give me your vote of confidence, and in return, I promise I will listen, be persuasive, be persistent. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Jay? Yep, you.
Sienna consists of people of different religions or...
You need to turn your mic on.
Sienna consists of people of different religions or perhaps none at all. People of many colors and people from foreign lands. As Americans, we're all equal in the eyes of the law and in our neighbors' eyes. Generally, we are a pretty tolerant bunch. But too many of us are intolerant towards the board, automatically assuming the worst of motives and intentions. Remember the sign on the wall above the piano of the Old West Saloon. Please don't shoot the piano player. He is doing the best he can. And so it is with the board. But they are all volunteers who are paid absolutely nothing. They donate their time as a gift to the community. We should all be a bit more gracious in accepting this gift. Sure, we often disagree with them, and it is fine to be critical. But remember, there is nothing illegal or unethical about being stupid, silly, or ignorant. We've all been there. So while you may question their judgment, please don't question their goodwill and spirit of service. Lastly, be grateful that Siena has never had a real scandal. Even though some of our past board members have been rude or obnoxious, they have never been thieves. They deserve our respect, but not always our admiration. If you allow me to continue as a board member, I pledge to be as minimally stupid as possible and to be a prudent steward of your money. Thank you.
Harvey?
Well, as I said last night, if the piano player only plays to his tune, before you know it, there won't be an audience in the room. You heard a lot today about communication, inclusiveness, relationship building. Well, let me tell you, if you look at the minutes of the board meetings since February, all that it says when a resident gets up is comment made by a resident. Why that was changed from actually listing what residents have to say, I have no idea. And I'm running for the board because I have no agenda other than to work for the betterment of Siena. I will respond to your concerns. Sometimes the answer may be no, but you will get a full explanation. There are only 3 things a board member cannot do. You can't divulge legal matters, you can't divulge violations by homeowners, and you can't divulge personnel issues. I will let you know at board meetings why I am voting for or against something. In next year's budget process, that is 2018, I will demand backup invoices for each item. We have so many line items that I'm sure many of you would get just bored looking at it. Although we are not running as a slate, I hope that Jerry, Steve, and I will not be the 5th wheel shut out of discussions, and ask that if you're fed up with the way things have been going and want to change, that you please vote for us, so that we can become the majority vote and therefore keep Siena's finances healthy, have a transparent board like we have never had before, and provide for the best lifestyle of this community. Thank you.
Jerry?
I moved into Siena on December 28, 1999. That's nearly 17 years ago. There wasn't much here then, mostly just open desert, but even in those early days, you knew Siena was going to be a special community. And as the community grew and people moved in, Siena became a friendly, fun place to live. Now we've lost some of that, but we can get it back. I think this next year we need a board that understands the history of Siena, how we maintain our community, and how we're spending your money. I'm the person that can do that. I've been on the Finance Committee for over a year now, I have a good understanding of our reserve study and our financial health. Our annual budget is over $5 million. If we can take just 1% of that, we would save $50,000. But don't misunderstand, I'm not against spending if we need to spend it. If it's broke, let's fix it. I'm just against wasting money. Now, for more information about me, I invite you to pick up one of my flyers. There's a brochure here. Some are available in the rotunda, and some are available over in the fitness center. If you want to email me directly, you can email me at jerry4siena@gmail.com. That's Jerry and the number 4siena@gmail.com. And there's also reminder business cards over there with my name on them. On the business card, there is a link to a 40-second YouTube video message, which is my basic platform. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to listen to us this afternoon. I hope your time here was well spent. My name is Jerry McElroy, and I'm asking for your vote. I will bring a common sense business approach to the Siena Board of Directors. If elected, I will work to control spending, promote courtesy, improve communications, and preserve Siena's resort-like lifestyle.
Steve?
Hi, my name is Steve Litterer, and I first want to thank you all for coming. I'm pretty simple, and I don't have a lot to say, but I promise that I will definitely think out of the box, as I've done my whole life, solving and mediating disputes and things like that. But I still want to increase productivity if I can. With a lot of information I need to have to do that. I know that golf course is going to be a big issue, and I will devote every minute that I have to it in the way I do things. And I'm against raising monthly fees unless there's a terrible, terrible crisis and we can't help it, okay. But for any other thing, I will fight that all I can. And I definitely need to keep the property values up as much as we can, because that's what we have, that's what we own. We don't want our property values to go down for any reason. Now, I'm big into community service, and I'm big into volunteerism. I've done that most of my, well, adult life, and I'm still doing it. And I know by designing the fire plan for the fitness center and for the rotunda, it has helped a lot. And God forbid if there's ever an emergency, I think there would be quite a difference than it would have been 3 years ago. And one thing I'd like to say is, I did write an evacuation plan based on my lifelong experiences. Hopefully, we will never ever use it. There's a business plan that Mr. Naveau was in charge of, and I did the resident evacuation plan for that. So my thing in life is giving, and I hope I can count on you for a vote, and I would like to be on the board. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. You will be receiving your ballot soon. Remember, you are voting to fill 3 seats. You can vote for 1, 2, or 3 candidates. If you vote for more than 3, your ballot will be voided. And please read the instructions that come with your ballot, because if the address, the return address is incorrect, if the ballot isn't in the inside sealed envelope properly, those ballots will be voided. So be careful how you send your ballots in. The Siena website now has an election message board platform located under Board of Directors for all election comments and information. And this will be available starting today. Thank you all for coming. The candidates will be here for a while to talk to you directly. Thank you.
Hey, Joe, I would just like to say one thing to you from me. The session that you run the last night and today were done exemplary.
Thank you.
So I thank you for the courtesy that you've given us and the community and representing us.
It's
Thank
been
you.
my pleasure.
Good job, man.
Absolutely. Let's go get that taken care of. Let me just shut this microphone. Don't tell me how to go ahead. Things, that's real broadcast. We're family, you're going to want to Say, man, and I vote for the same person 3 times. Can you? Are you sure I can? Because I want to vote 3 times.
For one person?
I'm Bob Zaniski.
I'm Bob too.
All right. So you'll be able to find Bob on them.
Well, that's why I was going to vote for you.
This way you'll remember your
I'm
name.
going to vote for Jerry for damn sure. 3 times.